Guess what, Internet? We are back. This is They Can't All Be Bangers, your favorite songwriting podcast. I don't know, my favorite songwriting podcast.
Mine too. So
Uh,
that's a
Same.
unanimous
Yeah.
100%.
Unanimous. Yeah.
we're doing something a little different today. Normally, Hatori and yours truly, Jeremy Herzer, we try to write a song in the space of a week, and then um, we just spend so much time gushing about how much we love each other's songs. But today we're doing something a little different. Hatori, I should let you
Oh,
introduce your
yes,
friend.
sure. Well, we have the greatest honor of having Melissa Mulligan on our show today. And Melissa holds a very special place in my heart because she kind of kickstarted my music for me. I happened to stumble across her program called Music Career Mastermind on the interweb, and it caught my attention. I said, why not? Let's go for it. And my life was changed. And I don't want to like spoil everything because I think that Melissa would probably like to talk a little bit about it, but um, it changed my life truly. And I'm not being sponsored to say this. So no, truly, it was incredible. And I still actually am deeply involved with her program because it has completely transformed the way that I approach music and the industry and writing and creating and everything. So, Melissa, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Oh my goodness. I'm not good at that. And I teach elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Like I teach the elevator pitch to artists all the time. And then every time someone asks me, I'm always like, "Oh, yeah, I don't have it boiled down to just like two quick sentences yet." Um, Well, I'm thrilled to be here. I think the world of you, Hattori, and Jeremy, by extension, of course, love what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you a lot better today. Um, so I run this thing called Music Career Mastermind, which I started in 2017. And what it is, it's a collection of mentors led by me, and we all have our music industry area, like zone of genius, right? So we have some really, really amazing, like Grammy winning, platinum selling producers. We have world touring rock stars, platinum selling songwriters. We connect with people at like BMI and iHeart and stuff to come in. And it really all started because I was brought into the music industry primarily as like a vocal coach and artist development expert. And I was having these conversations with all of these brilliant, just like you guys, like, are so into what each other is doing and have so much respect for each other. I was having these in-depth conversations with these amazingly accomplished, brilliant minds in this space going, artists don't have access to these conversations. Artists are being asked to do everything themselves, from marketing to songwriting to recording to all the things, but they're not getting any development or any guidance from the people who have all this experience. There's this gate around everybody. And I really want to bridge that gap. And I don't want to just bridge it back to the like Hatoris of the world. I want to bridge it all the way back to teenagers who falsely believe they have to get into
Mhm,
Berkeley or USC or whatever in order to
mhm.
have a music career. Meanwhile, I'm working with teenagers making bangers, in their bedrooms at 15 years old on GarageBand. So
Yeah.
I was just like, I just felt this like calling drop into my body, as to like, I want to be the bridge between all of the different real life perspectives that exist
Wow.
for music makers. Like, that's really what I love to do.
And you accomplished that. I mean, I don't think there's any debate up for that. Like everyone that has been in the program, and there's been a ton of people, and I've made so many good friends there. They're like, yeah, this has been a life-changing thing, and they are getting information that they can't get anywhere else. Truly. Um, so you are also a vocal coach. You also used to be an artist
Hmm.
yourself. Can
Hmm.
you tell us a little bit about your like musical journey that got you, I
Oh,
guess, to this point?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a obsessive songwriter and singer since I was a little kid. I mean, I still have little cassette tapes where I would do overdubs from one boombox to the other, two cassette tapes recording, ever since I was a
How do we get a hold of these tapes? That's our next episode.
I would
yeah,
funny to hear that.
that's in the vault. That's what I need like a quick influx of cash. They go on eBay. Um, so yeah, it's my whole life. I'm still obsessed with it. And there was a time where I did it. I played 200 plus shows a year for several years and traveled and got to meet and write and record with some of my heroes and share the stage with some of my heroes. And there was just a moment where I felt complete around that.
Wow.
I didn't feel burned out or jaded.
Mhm.
I just felt like, and,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And now what? Because and now, like by my mid 30s, I was like, what else can I do? Like maybe there are other opportunities. And one of the things that I had been doing kind of all along was some vocal coaching. Um, and one day that pin just dropped in for me, it's like, this feels really good. It feels really good to be in the brightest moments of an artist's life versus maybe being at a club or a venue until 3 in the morning alone, carting speakers back, trying not to get hit on by somebody on my way back to my car. Like just the lifestyle started to appeal to me. And the work, it felt like there was a real need for a vocal coach who was really grounded in the science and the exactness of vocal technique, but who preferred working with weirdos, like who preferred working with alternative, the types of singers that a lot of vocal coaches just won't come near, like, oh, you're gonna hurt your voice, like all of that. I wanted to be that bridge, the vocal coaching bridge, right, across all lanes of music and not focus on classical and musical theater. So yeah, I don't know. I follow the big drops of inspiration, like
I love it.
in songwriting and in my lifescaping. Like when it drops, I'm like, okay, time to move, time to build this new thing. Yeah.
I feel like it's cool because I mean, you've been doing what is authentic to yourself this whole time.
Yeah.
No, that like it just feels like it's the same thing, and you're just bringing the same energy and the same um philosophy into wherever you go, and it's really amazing. Um, Jeremy, would you like to ask a question?
That's me. Well, I was going to ask, have you heard Hattori's song Mothball?
Oh,
Have
yes,
I?
actually, you actually have. Yes. Yeah, it's the one about getting hit on at bars,
Oh, yeah.
which was
Oh.
actually a prompt from Jeremy. And it's actually my next release.
Come
So
on.
yeah,
Yes.
it's
The
like
world needs it.
this close to being done. So
I love it.
yay.
I love it. That's
Well,
exciting.
I do have, I mean, I have a lot of questions. So I think Hattori and I have been doing this for a year and a half now, just not every single week, but we're in the 30s now in terms of, which for both of us is kind of legend MVP level output of songwriting. They aren't all bangers. It turns out we've proven that experiment, I think, now in our cohort. But I think it's been an interesting process for us, for me, certainly to we both grew up in the church, and there's a lot of, you end up sounding like the person whose song you're doing. That's kind of what you end up doing week over week over week, is like trying to sound like the Vineyard worship band or I can't remember the names now, which is probably a good sign. So I was just curious, like, I actually think it's okay. Like when we're writing songs, sometimes it's like, yeah, I kind of want this song to sound like a Chris Stapleton song. And I think that's okay, but I also think it's really mysterious and kind of almost, it seems to me to be sort of an accidental process of finding out what I actually sound like, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really have a good sense of the science or like the intentionality around that other than just start writing a bunch of songs and see what shakes out. But it feels like that's kind of an inefficient process to figure out if there even is a figuring out what my sound or my style. So I'm just curious if you could talk a little bit about how you help artists navigate those kind of things.
Mm.
Because that's a wide domain of somebody coming in and going, oh no, I want to open for Katy Perry, and I want to sound like somebody who opens for Katy Perry versus somebody who's like, I want this to be uniquely me and only something that only I could do, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah, you're touching upon this. It's almost like a wheel. It's like a spectrum of songwriting conversations that absolutely exist in the artist development space. It's a really good question. And it's one that I face a lot. So I take an artist-centric approach to this. When a label or a management representative is like, oh, can you help me make this person more like Amy Winehouse? I'm always like, I could. It's not going to work. They're not going to like it. They're not going to re-sign with you. Like, we can surface level engineer stuff. We can put in music production cues and I can alter the way she sings, or, that's not artist development. That's packaging.
Mm-hmm.
That's packaging, right? So I'm not in the packaging business. I'm in helping the Jeremys and the Hatoris of the world love the music that they write and really figure out, what do I have to say and how do I want to say it? So the first thing that I would say is, I think sonic artist identity is not a stagnant thing. It's meant to evolve. So you don't have to like make a decision, marry that decision, and then keep yourself in a sonic box, From a songwriting perspective, I think that the best thing that a developing songwriter can do is increase their vocabulary, their musical vocabulary, and put more things in their toolbox. So writing a song like Chris Stapleton, like the Beatles did this, right? Let's pretend we're the Byrds. Today we're going to pretend we're the Beach Boys. Today we're going to pretend we're this band or that band. Sometimes what you'll find is, I totally failed at that attempt. It doesn't sound a thing like the Beach Boys, but I got somewhere new for me. And I'm also finding out what I sound like, because there's a through line, no matter who I'm covering, no matter who I'm being inspired by or using as like a reference track. There's always something about it that just distinctly sounds like me. And that's how I know what I bring to the table. So I think it's a fruitful exercise. I don't believe in, I as an artist need to sound like Chris Stapleton, but I believe in the exercise of, today I'm going to put this on, today I'm going to try this out. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Blowing my mind.
Yeah. I'm reminded, Hattori, when you wrote the song inspired by Beck.
Yeah.
And then I tried to write a song inspired by Kimbra.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up not sounding like necessarily like the artist, but it was like one of my favorite weeks of challenge we did.
And that's a perfect reference, because I remember so consciously trying to make it smooth and calm and blended, and it was such a good exercise in how to use my vocals that like that's now something that I can use and that I have used in other songs actually. So it's tools that you're adding to your toolbox.
And studying the way other people get to where they're going, studying yourself, like what songs make me feel something and why might that be, is really valuable. I mean, I learned how to make hooky melodic songs by listening to music with my dad, who was not a musician, but he could have been a tastemaker. He could have been like the Clive Davis who would be like, you're going to be a hit. You're going to be a hit. Like he could just call it so quickly. So he would predict the Rick Dees top 40 every week. He would predict like the top 10, and we'd
I,
Here I am 7 years old in a church parking lot with
Yeah.
my dad trying to play this game with him. But then sometimes songs would be really popular, and I would be like, of course, I hate this. This is horrible. This song stinks, whatever. And my dad would be like, but America loves it. Why?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's a
Right?
great question.
What is it? Is it the chorus? And he'd be like, notice how an ad lib to fade keeps you singing the chorus long after the song is gone. Like, notice how you could always sing the chorus over the guitar solo because it's the same section. So, like, he really taught me to
wow.
listen and instilled that neutrality in me of just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's a crappy song.
Yeah.
So why is it popular? And that's information that then informed me as a writer and now informs me for sure as a coach. Like Hatori, I'm always teaching that sort of like, well, take a step back, let's be neutral.
Which is so hard because artists are so precious, about because it's so vulnerable and it's like
Yeah.
the most personal thing that you can do, and then you're exposing it to potential criticism. It's terrifying.
Sure.
This is a good segue, actually. So when you do advise or coach artists through that, how do you teach somebody to be more neutral? I guess there are those practical senses of listen to this and this and this. Have you ever come across an artist, and I'm literally thinking of myself a few years ago, who just cannot get out of their own head about it? What would you say to them?
I would just say this particular prompt is not working for you and it's not fruitful, and I'm not going to spend any time on it because it's my job to develop you, so it's my job to find the windows that are openable, so that more inspiration can come through. And if that window is locked, well, we're not going to bang our heads against the sill. You know what I mean? Like, it's not working for you. We're going to move on. I find though that artists can be, you should be very opinionated and very specific when it comes to work that you're doing that you really believe in. When it comes to listening and benefiting from other people's work, I think you should learn to be neutral about that. But when you're making music, I think you should be very, very, the goal, I think, is to be like, this fits me, this does not fit me, and I can tell, right? I think ultimately we all want to get there, and that's great.
I like that.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's great.
Gosh, you're giving me so much to think about. Jeremy, I want to make sure you have a chance to ask questions as well. I have a million, so.
One thing I often complain about with our podcast is that I don't get enough opportunity to talk.
So do you have control of the mute button? Because that's what you can just mute her.
Not to air all of Hatori and I's dirty laundry, but that's top of the list. No, I wanted to ask, this is a songwriting, it's really a music podcast. And beyond that, Hatori and I are old buddies, old pals. So we also catch up about jazzy and music videos and
right.
Dachshund. So, but generally, we're songwriters, and that's kind of the thrust of this podcast. And so we've done a lot of different things. I can't say we've done everything at this point, but Hatori's walked around her house with a coffee mug, tinking it, or I don't know, recording the HVAC from her house, or doors closing, or dogs barking, or whatever. We've taken words out of books. We've given each other prompts. We've sourced, we've started with time signatures. So we've just done a lot of different things. So I was just curious, from a songwriting perspective, do you have any sort of go-to, like, what's your typical start if you're going to start a song? Like, do you find yourself often starting from a prompt first, or an idea, or are you sitting down at the keyboard first thing? Or I'm sure you've done all of that, but what's kind of the go-to for you?
I mean, the ideal is when you're so overwhelmed with emotion and something to say that you can just go sit at your instrument, fool around, find some sort of chord bed, and then just start with top line. That's my dream. You get inspired. I sit down with the guitar usually. I like, cross-legged on the floor with my acoustic, like when I was 18 years old, and just let it pour out.
Yeah.
Over the years, I have learned to just be a chameleon, just let other people, if I'm working with other people, whatever their starting point is, I'm along for the ride. Like, I'm not precious about the starting point. I
Yeah.
don't think you need to be precious about your process. I think you just need to have a lot of tools, a lot of different ways to open up different windows.
Mm.
If I got nothing, my favorite thing to do, and Hatori's seen me do this in our classes, is take a song I like, rearrange the chords. There's my chord progression.
Mm.
Respond to the lyrics as if the song was written for me. There's my new lyric concept. But those are all starting points.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, have you guys been delving into prompting and nudging each other around the rewrite and the editing process once you have something written?
That sounds like a lot of work.
Because let me just say, that's how you write a banger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all can be bangers. You have to pick which ones to put in the time and the craftsmanship into.
Yeah.
Right? There's the initial first draft, and a lot of people struggle with, how do I get a first draft? How do I get a first draft? Prompts, games, co-writes, right? But then how do you craft a banger is another skill set.
So this is very interesting because we have talked about kind of shifting what we do, because songwriting, I feel like we have learned so much about songwriting, and we have kind of like got into a rhythm of it for ourselves. Next step is, what's next? It's the editing, it's the changing, it's the tweaking, it's the production. And we are talking about going in more in that direction, and it does, I don't know, I think I'm excited about that.
I agree.
I think I'm sort of tepidly excited about that.
I would have the same statement as Hatori. I think I'm tepidly excited about that because it is a lot of work, and it's also this is going to sound wrong, and maybe this sounds arrogant, but I actually find now that Hatori and I have this mechanism in place. I don't want to give a percentage for you, Hatori. Like 75% of my songs, 30 songs over the last 2 years, have been written morning of.
Yeah.
So it's at a certain point, it's like, I know I can do it. I know I can sit down and write a song in 4 hours. That's not hard. To your point, Melissa, it's hit or miss. And actually every one of those songs will have a moment that I'm like, oh, that was good. That would be a keeper. The rest of this, 50% of it will be like, and then there'll be a chunk of just like slag that you need to chop that off. So, but I never go back and do the work on those. I just play them in bars and kind of see. So even as Hatori and I have talked about going back and producing and releasing those songs, we haven't really talked about how we're going to edit them. So, I mean, and again, I'm talking a lot here, but I was part of the Nashville Songwriters Association for a couple of years, and I found that really helpful for me to kind of get started and kind of meet some people. But all the feedback was geared towards making them commercially viable songs. And I realized, like, I'm not planning to sell this song to Blake Shelton. Like, I don't. So I found that mechanism to be really helpful if that's what you want to do, if you want to write and sell a hit. But I often felt like the feedback or the advice I was getting ran counter to what I wanted the song to be, if that makes sense.
Yes, totally. Feedback rounds and crowdsourcing, I hate. I specifically, and you will notice in Mastermind, Hatori, I never ask you guys what you think of each other's songs.
Yeah.
It's useless. It's useless. So my feedback to you, Jeremy, is I'm not interested in hearing your songs and telling you what I think would make them bangers.
Sure.
What I would be interested in, like if you and I were working together, is me turning you into someone who is really comfortable and amazing at crafting your own songs into things that say what you want to say even better.
Yeah.
And that really land, right?
Yeah.
So I might ask you, like, what's the point? How do you want me to feel when I hear this? You
Mm,
know, what are your references, reference tracks wise, in terms of how you see this being produced?
yeah.
Do you care if anybody listens to it or not? Because if you do care, then I think your chorus needs to become the first verse, and then you need to write a song based around that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
So it wouldn't be, oh, your song in order to sell it to me, me, me. It's not that at all. It's
Yeah.
about leveling you up.
Hmm.
Because I can tell you, you can write first drafts all day, every day for the
Hmm.
rest of your life and never be great at churning
Yeah.
out songs that other people really respond to.
Yeah.
This next level of songwriting skill set is where you'll get there.
Hmm.
It's where every professional writer lives, is in
Yeah.
that, you know, they all have a gazillion drafts. They could spit
Yeah.
one out every day, like you said.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know. Jeremy's like, oh man. Like,
That's a lot of work. Anything, I mean, it's sort of like, think about it like somebody who is just naturally gifted athletically. You
mm,
know, if they're 6'7" and can run like a deer, that doesn't mean they can shoot a free throw.
great.
You know what I mean? And you only get
Pretty,
good at shooting free throws one way, period.
pretty sure that Derek Jeter, you know, who just won the Masters, Rory,
Oh, Rory McIlroy. Yep.
yeah, pretty sure they all have plenty of coaches
Yeah.
and trainers, and they work
Yep.
nonstop
Yep.
at their skills.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah.
Well, and I think you bring up something. Hattori and I both have written songs for church forever. And it kind of just, for me at least, Hattori, it kind of just happened when it happened.
Mhm.
There was no process. There was no, you kind of just get inspired and you write a song. And in doing that, I think I wrote 10 or 11 songs over a 20-year span. And I probably wrote, you know, I started a bunch of ideas or whatever. But ultimately, when we started this thing and started doing this, there's something underneath that propels that, and it's we care about it. We care about doing it, and we care about getting better at it. And so, to your point, the reason I haven't, I hesitate to say this, but I think just to be blunt, the reason I haven't put the time into editing and releasing music is because I don't care enough about it. And I think that's the challenge, right? Is that anybody who is like, well, I want to be a touring musician or I want to do this, like, you better be ready to love it enough to invest the calories into it. And I think that's what we've been talking about is like, I think we're both ready to kind of take that next step and start investing the calories into the refinement that goes along. And well, sorry, I'm talking a lot, but I also, you know, my instinct tells me that my intimidation about it is maybe a little bit misinformed in that it's not like that forever. Just like we got better at writing songs, you get better at, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the
I
curve
was
goes down over time.
exactly. I was just going to say that if your goal, forget about making it releasable and sharing it
Hmm.
for a minute. If your goal is to immerse yourself in
Hmm.
the art of songwriting and become like a worthy participant in
Hmm.
the field, you know, this is a level of it that can also bring you great joy,
Hmm.
great satisfaction. Going back and revisiting songs that, you know, came out of something pure and really serving that song, like giving
Yeah.
that song the attention and the space that it deserves is an act of honor and
Yeah.
respect for yourself and for the song, and it gets you more immersed in the process in a really real way. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know that it has to be about a goal and an outcome, you know,
Hmm.
any more than that.
That's beautiful.
It really is.
Hmm.
It's so entangled with I think our own identity, how we see ourselves. Because like, yeah, what we see is like what's worth our time. Also like
Hmm.
and this is honestly to be transparent, the reason that I didn't pursue music for the longest time was because I didn't think that I was worthy of getting to enjoy it.
Hmm.
Like I wasn't worthy of being heard by people.
Hmm.
And that alone stopped me from writing and releasing and performing for over a decade.
Hmm.
Hmm.
There's something about being in church that's a little different. They kind of permiss it because you're doing it for someone else, you know?
Hmm.
And that's why I think many artists are more comfortable in that. And so many artists start in church.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But getting out of it is quite a mental shift that
Hmm.
we haven't really talked about, but I think would be
Hmm.
interesting to dive into. But yeah, it's about what is worth my time, and like to
Hmm.
see myself as a person, or I guess a product in a sense that is worth putting out into the world. Um, wow, that's
That's, I think that's really well said, Hattori, in
Hmm.
that I'm really grateful that Noah Gunderson cared enough about his art to refine it. You know what I mean? Or Gregory Alan Isikoff, or I'm just Beck,
yeah.
right? And it's easy to think like, oh, Beck, he's a big famous guy. Well, he wasn't. He wasn't. He was just a dweeb learning guitar or whatever at one point, you know. But he kept doing it, and so I think that's a really beautiful thought. Is that our art, and I 100% feel that. I feel that anytime I think about reaching out to a venue
Mm.
or somebody who runs a songwriter night, it's like, hey, you should you should have me there. It's like I immediately feel like, I've seen the other people that play there, and like I don't know that I belong with them. So it is a really vulnerable, and again, as I've said, I think I always thought songwriting was the hard part. Like all I got to do is write 150 songs, and it turns out like that's actually one of the easier parts. Is just bulk output is actually not that hard. But caring about your art and turning it in, investing in the craft of doing it on purpose, like that's really intimidating and hard, and you have to care. And so,
Mm. And you have to stop protecting yourself by pretending that you don't care.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
Because
that
it's not that hard. It's just vulnerable.
yeah.
It's just vulnerable.
Mm,
Um, all you have to do really to get over that hurdle, that like intimidation and the vulnerability hurdle, all you have to do is show up and start editing and rewriting some songs,
mm,
because you're going to build a really healthy relationship with your inner artist that says like, you're worth it.
mm,
I believe in you.
mm.
You're worth it. You're worth the time. You're worth the investment
wow.
in,
Yeah,
in taking this, this draft that you've put together.
yeah.
And I'm going to spend more time with this. That's how valuable I think your work was.
Hmm. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Man, you it's been what, 33 minutes, and you have already something into my brain that I
Yeah.
can't explain. I have a
Mm.
couple more questions. Jeremy, do you have any more?
Go ahead.
Okay. Um, Now you, Melissa, have had the opportunity to work with many, 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 many artists who have amazing careers.
Mhm.
I'm curious, and you do not have to say any names, but I'm curious who, or has there been a person that has surprised you the most in like the first time you met them, and then like what they've become? Does that make sense?
Uh, yeah. Skip.
Really?
Yeah. Skip Glogan of Almost July. And
Oh, I thought
also,
you were saying I skipped the question. I was,
yeah,
I was like,
next
whoa.
question. No.
Yeah, I honestly thought that's what was happening. Okay.
Um, so when I first met him many, many years ago, he was just coming to me for some vocal lessons. And it's funny, when he first showed up, I think he was kind of like, oh, I can't tell Melissa what I really want to do. You know what I mean? Like, I like, Jack's Mannequin, but I could also do this, Bobby Darin stuff because he's perfect pitch, piano virtuoso, music
Just,
theory.
I just want to say he's one of the production coaches
Yeah.
in the program. He's awesome. Carry
Yeah.
on.
So, so musically gifted and like worshipped in school for it or whatever. But honestly, when he was performing that stuff for me in our vocal sessions, I was like, I'm not feeling it. Like, I know that you're special, right? On paper, you're super special and you're like the nicest person I've ever met and so musically gifted, but like I'm not getting it. And then one day I asked him who he really listens to and whatever, and it was more like Green Day and Yellow Card and things like that. So I gave him a guitar and then he just let it rip. And I was like, now I get it. And every other vocal teacher he'd ever been to was like, you can't sing like that. How about we do
Yeah.
work on something from Pippin, you know? But the fact that he has become, I mean, I'm just so proud of him because he's become like an internationally known and respected
Mm.
producer and songwriter, in addition to being, you know, his own artist. I did not know that personally that those were the choices that he would make when those opportunities unfolded, and I'm really proud of him. It was early when he became a producer. It was before all the other artists realized, oh, this is something I got to learn how to do. You know, I mean, he really went for it, and he's changed so many other artists' lives by being in our program and, you know, just being who he is. So, yeah, he's like my favorite story, I think.
Cool. I had no idea actually.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Wow. How interesting. I feel like and this is something that I've actually struggled when I meet other artists, I find maybe I notice personally there's so many self-assured people who I think like they know what they want. This is who like the artist that
Mhm.
they want to be. Like they already have a plan. They know exactly what they're going to do. And I have never been that way. I've always been like I just like music, you know? And I think I have like I think that I've paid attention enough to the musical landscape and the professionals to think to be like I think this is a version of me that would sell. And maybe this is what maybe Skip was thinking is like I have an idea of what I think I should be to be
Mhm.
to the public. And it took me so long to realize actually just to undo a lot of those beliefs that I eventually thought were actually just my own ideas and they weren't. They
Oh,
weren't authentic,
yes.
right? Because it was
Yeah.
just so deeply ingrained. I should be like this. I should speak
Mhm.
like this. I should write like this. And I'm still doing that in my songwriting process. I still think like I should have this piece in the song that if I really check in with myself, like I don't want that there. That's not
Mm.
actually honest to what I'm trying to say.
Maybe you could, when maybe if you can notice when that pops up, you could change it from I should to what if,
Mm.
you know, because
Yeah.
it's more neutral. You
Yeah.
know, it's like instead of I should have a more obvious chorus,
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, maybe you should, right? But if you change it from should to
Mhm.
what if? What if I tried, you know, another attempt at the chorus to see if I could make it pop out more? What if? That relieves that tension between I don't want to do it just because I should to I really should do it just because I should. There's so much
Mhm.
tension in that, and the artistic process just goes the
Right.
second there's that tension. But what if allows you to try things, allows
Mhm.
you to try out advice that maybe you heard from other people that, and you won't know what works until you try it. Every song is
Mhm.
different, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. Um, wow. Giving me so much to think about. Goodness. Jeremy, do you have any questions? Because I'm trying to
Uh,
formulate next one because
I
I'm
mean, my thoughts are kind of racing right now, so in a good way. I guess, I was just going to ask how anybody who's listening to this, where do they get started with your program?
Oh, that's lovely. My website is mastermindroad.com, like a roadmap. So mastermindroad.com. And if you go there, there's a little tab with my name on it, Melissa Mulligan, and then you can just click work with Mel. And it's a quick questionnaire where you tell me about yourself and your questions. And usually what I do is I will either email you or make you a little Loom video back with some thoughts, some questions of my own, some clarifying. For every answer you give me, I'll probably have an extra question.
Yeah.
And then we can chat. Sometimes I can help people just that way. And they're like, got it. Thanks for the advice. Other times, like a one-off consultation is very helpful. And other times it makes sense to talk about coming in and like working with the whole team in our Music Career Accelerator mentorship experience. But I'm very much like a bespoke coach. So I don't believe in downloadable video courses. Information doesn't transform anybody. So yeah, the first step is literally just to reach out and let's connect, and I will give you honest and optimistic guidance, and then we can kind of take it from there.
Well, I hope you're ready for our millions of listeners.
I'm ready.
I think, I guess depends on when we release this video, Hatori.
Probably next year.
No, perfect.
No, I think this should be our next.
I agree. We will. We're gonna.
This is, I think, one of my favorite conversations I've had.
Absolutely. You never fail to surprise me, Melissa. Every time I'm like, oh, I've like heard her talk so many times. There's no way that she has more golden nuggets of wisdom, and then you just drop them like it's nothing. That's crazy.
It cracks me up because every time we talk, I feel like there's so many moments where you just touch your forehead, like,
I know. That's literally what I do.
hang on a minute. Processing, rearranging things.
Exactly what I do. I have one more question. Jeremy, if you have another one, please feel free to ask. But I just have one more, if that's okay with you.
Of
Mel?
course. Yeah.
Okay. I think the industry is very intimidating for a lot of people. I know that it has changed a lot in the last 10, 20, 30 years. And with the rise of Instagram and TikTok and Spotify algorithms, it is, I think, very, very intimidating. What would be your advice to people who are like, who haven't taken the step into saying like, I'm going to pursue music, who are maybe on the fence about it, and they're seeing this big, terrifying industry? What would you say to them, maybe to encourage or maybe discourage them from going into music?
If you desire the experience of making music at a professional level, you can quit it, but it won't quit you. So why bother? You know what I mean? Like you're gonna do it. You can do it now. You can do it when you're 50 and having a midlife crisis, but you're gonna do it. I've been in this long enough to know that I hear from people and then they don't do it. And then I hear from them 10 years later and they're like, I really should have done it, but now I'm ready. So, so go ahead and learn and try and experience, and you don't have to go pro. No one says that just because you want to make music all day, every day, it needs to be how you pay for your utilities and your rent. That's this weird American myth that we have, that you're not real unless it's your only source of income. Like, don't worry about that right now, because by the time you're ready to monetize your music, everything we talk about today will be out of date about how that works.
Yeah.
So like, just go try and write your life, write the songs that are in your heart, learn about the craft. Pursuing excellence at the thing you love is the whole point of life, in my opinion. It's like why we're here. How we monetize it and what business model it puts into, those are all options. They're all options. Nobody gets to control how you do it. But like, that I don't think is optional.
Wow.
Showing up for your art, showing up for yourself, like that is the way to build a great relationship with yourself and with this world. Show up for it, value it, prioritize it. You can talk to me some other time when you've got music you believe in that you want to share, and then I'm here to help you not get overwhelmed and bogged down with whatever's going on. Like, you don't need to know all of that. You don't need to reply to all the stupid ads that are in your reels about how to monetize your music. Like just write great songs, love your life, and then, the rest of it is figure outable.
Mm, that's really good. Because you break it down into the most human,
Mm-hmm.
organic, natural thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like every time I ask a question to you, Melissa, in general, that I'm like, there's got to be a technical answer. There's got to be this thing that just like an industry secret that makes sense. You always give me something that is so like achievable because it's so innate and authentic. And it's just amazing. Amazing.
Oh, well, I really, really appreciate you. Um, I feel very seen and heard right now. This is very lovely.
Good.
You are incredible in every
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, and thank you for carving out some time to talk with us. I mean, I I don't I know I have this opinion of like podcasts where like, oh, they're pros, I guess, essentially, right? That you think like, oh, it's this thing and kind of this business. And like, I think of this is just you took some time to sit and talk with two artists who need your help. So I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us. So,
Oh, absolutely. I loved it. I think there needs to be a lot more of these conversations
mhm.
being held regularly. So I'm really proud of both of you for having the conversations and then sharing them, recording them, sharing them, like letting people be a part of the journey that you're on. And now we get to listen to maybe some rewrites and how and
Yep.
what and all the emotions that brings out of Jeremy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, I'm
You see
excited.
my mascara running every
It's
episode.
going to be
This,
awesome.
this has been just mind-blowing once again. Um,
Hmm.
we will make sure to drop the info on
Hmm.
Music Mastermind under the video so that you guys can all find Melissa. And
And please do, by the way.
yeah, like again, best decision I've ever made.
Hmm.
So, um, thank you again. We
My
will
pleasure.
have you on another time.
Hmm.
We will invite you back maybe once we have some songs that we have edited and
I can't wait.
you know. But yeah, Jeremy, do you have any final words or questions before?
No, just thank you. And thanks again to everybody who listens and go write some songs.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it. Yeah. Thank you, Mel. We love you so
Thank
much.
you. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.